And sometimes in life, you got to have uncomfortable conversations.
Let's have them.
Hello, Steve. How do you do?
I'm doing all right, JP. How you guys doing?
We're good, man. We're joined on the Rude Guest Hotline by our friend, Mr. Steve Whyno. You can give him a follow at SWhyno, WHYNO. Whyno covers the Caps, does an amazing job for the Associated Press. And it ain't running right lately. Whyno?
Should we be concerned?
Yeah, BMitch, there should be some concern and not panic necessarily, but this is a team that certainly, look, they're playing Ovechkin. They're playing get the puck to Ovechkin and get him the record for a month, and you have all that. But Alexei Protas is arguably their most important skater. Logan Thompson, their best goaltender. Both those guys have been out injured. Logan Thompson's back on the ice skating. We don't know when he'll be ready. Will he be ready for a game one Sunday or a week from today? We don't know. Alexei Protas had that skate cut. He's supposed to get back on the ice this week, but without those guys and sort of trying to flip a switch back from the Ovechkin chase and all that, it hasn't looked right. It's been disjointed, turnovers, mistakes, and it's not the hockey the Capitals want to be playing going into the playoffs.
All right, so that's all obvious. What if, and I know how hockey is with injuries, but if you could get LT or Protas back, do you think, I know Carberry has kind of hinted that they should be back for the playoffs. Is that where you see it happening? So we're talking next weekend?
Yeah, I think, JP, I think there's a chance of that. I think there's a chance of whether maybe if it's not game one, it might be game two or game three of the series, because with these specific injuries, which we think is a concussion and a skate cut, there's no real okay, they'll be back in 7 to 10 days or 2 to 4 weeks or whatever. So there's just an uncertainty of being healthy enough to play, and also just conditioning, being on the ice enough practices and times. And I would predict the Capitals are going to practice, at least they have a full practice on Saturday to try to get these guys up to speed. And I think it's easier, from one case, to plug Alexei Protas in right away than it is to put a goaltender in there who's been ice cold and not play. But I think you almost look at this first round series, whether they play the Columbus Blue Jackets or the Montreal Canadiens, for the Capitals, as game one might be ugly no matter what happens. So you sort of not throw it out, but you could get ready for that and figure you're in for a long series if you get those guys back healthy and shake the rust off.
Do you think they've been one of the better teams throughout the year, but they've gone after that record? Can they pick that switch and bounce back?
That's the entire thing. And Brian, you know this as an athlete, that the psychology of trying to flip a switch is not easy, and it happens. This happens to a lot of teams, and this is why we talk about the President's Trophy sort of curse that people talk about in hockey. I don't think there's a curse on the trophy, which the Capitals now can't win, and I think that's a good thing for folks around here. But when you don't have adversity throughout a season, and then you get punched in the face in the playoff series, do you have anything to pull from to respond to that? And that's the big question is, this team hasn't played meaningful hockey in so long. They've had such a cushion atop the Eastern Conference, and things have been going so well. You're talking about sort of the shooting percentages and the health up until now. For everything went so well for the first 65 games of an 82-game season that it was almost like the regression to what this team probably should be is like falling off a cliff in terms of the bounces, the luck, but even just things going right. Everyone having a career year sort of at the same time, from Alexei Protas, Pierre Dubois, great season, Dylan Strome, Tom Wilson, obviously Alex Ovechkin at 39 years old, scoring 43 goals, that it was bound to sort of drop off. It's just a matter of can they sort of get back to what made them successful a few months ago in time before it's too late.
I don't want to go back to when they were the 1 seed and played Montreal when they were the 8 seed and lost in that first round, right? I don't want to go back to that. I think they're going to get their S together for the first round. I don't worry about that. But when you look at the Vegas odds, it seems like a lot of knowledgeable hockey people don't now view the Caps as a cup threat. 2 months ago, everybody's like, oh my God, this team is loaded. And now they're just kind of just scuffling a bit. How do you feel about them with they got 2 road games before the playoffs start? And they got, What was the total? Was it 11-1 in 2 games against Columbus over the weekend?
Yeah, not great. And look, the Capitals didn't really care about that game on Saturday, but still, you don't want to get pumped 7-0 in a game like that late in the season. But here's the thing, and we talked about this even a couple months ago when things were rolling well. The odds, the betting odds, never caught up to the Capitals being the contender or one of the top 2 or 3 contenders, because I think there were a lot of people in hockey, knowledgeable people, who saw that things were going so smoothly that it was almost unsustainable. And that the reason why the Stars and the Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes and even the Toronto Maple Leafs are up there, Colorado Avalanche, as top contenders is you just looked at the body of work and say they can raise their level to a playoff when the playoffs start. And the Capitals' highest level, they may have reached already. And I think, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they turned back into the team from before the Four Nations break, from a little bit out of that when they were sort of rolling along. But they've gotten sort of a lot of that puck luck throughout the season that I'm not sure these next 2 games, to your point, matter whether they win or lose against the Islanders or the Penguins, but they need to get their process right. They need to get with the sort of the way they play back on track. And you're not doing it with Alexi Protas, but you're doing it while maybe resting Alex Ovechkin again tomorrow and sort of trying to like get everybody's bodies healthy and ready, while also like everyone's minds aren't right now. Like there's just something off with this team that it's really hard to see how they just come out game 1 and blitz someone. But maybe with the talent on this roster, they're able to do that.
I hope they do.
So, serious question here. Last year, we're talking with our friend Steve Whyno, joining us on the Rude Guest Hotline. Rude makes the most reliable HVAC products in the DMV. Give Steve a follow at SWhyno, Instagram and Twitter. Last year, it was Lindgren that really got them into the playoffs. He was so good down the stretch. They got swept. They were outclassed by the Rangers last year, but he got them in because he was so good. Then this year, they go get Logan Thompson in the offseason. He gets the extension. Charlie does too, but it's not as much money. When things were really going great for Washington, it was LT was a stud, and then when Lindgren did play, he was really good too. Mm-hmm. Lindgren hasn't been all that good of late.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm actually going to absolve him a little bit more. Like, not that he hasn't made that spectacular save that he was making this time last year to get them in, but it's been a mess in front of these guys. Like, even look at Logan Thompson's numbers in the final month before he got hurt, and just you can tell a lot of the chances the Capitals are giving up. That the good thing really about the way they played for the first 3 or 4 months of the season was they weren't relying on their goaltenders. Like, Logan Thompson's numbers are really good, but it wasn't like you watched him and was like, this guy's one of the best goalies in the league. His numbers made it look like it because the team in front of him was playing so well. And he and Charlie Lindgren were making the saves that were needed in those situations. They weren't being asked to sort of be the reason the Capitals were winning games. And now, when you've got Rasmus Sandin just passes the puck to a Blue Jackets player last night, unassisted goal. What is Charlie Lindgren supposed to do about that? Odd man rushes the other day against the Islanders, or the day Alex Ovechkin broke the record. I don't know what a goaltender is supposed to do when he's facing a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2 every couple of minutes. Not to say that the goaltending can't be better. I think everything about the Capitals game right now can be better, and it's something that's going to be their focus in the next 2 games and the practices next weekend. But I don't think they're the problem. I think there's a lot of missing in the structure and the defensive sort of coverage that made this team so good and so tough, because they were able to defend so well that then they could use that to spark offense and go the other way and score. And they're not doing either of those things right now.
It really is crazy because I think they still have scored the most goals in the NHL. I know they did for a while before they kind of hit this lull. Do you think the Ovi record chase did, I don't want to say damage because it's incredible and he deserves that record, but like the timing of it coming late into the year as they get to the playoffs, just it's going to be harder than they thought to kind of get back to the normal offense they were running.
Yeah, and yes, short answer, yes. Long answer, but it's good that Alex Ovechkin got it done when he did, because if we were still talking about that now, and then they've got to celebrate and sort of go into the flip the switch mode in the playoffs, I think it'd be even harder. Alex Ovechkin gave this team a major break by doing it in game 77 of the season and not game 81 or 82, because they do have this time to reset. And honestly, Spencer Carberry light into them and maybe bag skate them Saturday, whatever it is, to sort of get their minds right. And maybe time kind of heals that sort of weird adjustment back. And I said this to Trevor Van Riemsdyk the other day, like usually when you win a big championship and celebrate, you have a whole summer to reset. And this team really did celebrate like a championship, and deservedly so. They absolutely should have and did. But at least they have the time now to figure it out. And we may look back if they lose in the first round, if they lose in the second round, that yes, the chase sort of became the season. But I also wonder 10, 15 years from now, I know it's hard to think about this like now, but we're all going to remember the chase more than we're going to remember that sort of even a playoff exit. And then obviously this team would love to go make another run, go to a final, win the Stanley Cup and all those things. But if nothing else, this is a season that everyone's going to remember for Alex Ovechkin breaking the record and the chase leading up to that.
100%.
I agree. Almost unless they win a cup.
They win a cup.
That only adds to it, right?
They will still remember the chase if they win a cup.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so looking ahead, the two games this week, you'd like to see them just look back to what they can be, but they don't really matter. They are. It's not definite that they're playing the Canadiens, but it sure looks that way. What is the deal with Montreal and Columbus trying to get in, and who do you like to get that 8th spot?
Well, let's make this easy. If the Canadiens win either one of their final two games, they play the last place lowly Blackhawks tonight. If they win, they're in. It's the Canadiens. That's it. Blue Jackets need to win out, and for the Canadiens to lose out to get in. So it's I think by the odds right now, it's 95% chance it's going to be the Montreal Canadiens and 5% the Blue Jackets. But both of these teams, young, hungry sort of teams that exceeded expectations to get in. Montreal's best player is Lane Hudson's going to be the Rookie of the Year. He's actually a older brother of the Caps' now top prospect, not on the team, Cole Hudson. And look, the Capitals will be favored in that series against either one of these teams. They should beat either one of these teams. I understand maybe the fan base getting nervous about the 2010 stuff, whatever. That doesn't matter. That team is entirely different than this one. The Bell Center is a tough place to play. Would be kind of the bigger concern there. But the Capitals should be able to take care of both of those teams. In theory, setting up a second round matchup against the Carolina Hurricanes or the New Jersey Devils.
Am I wrong to be freaked out about a second round matchup with the Hurricanes?
No, you shouldn't be freaked out. But I think that if I'm picking a Stanley Cup champion or a finalist from the East right now, I think it's Carolina. I think there's just something about that team and the way Rob Brind'Amour has them playing. But the Capitals have had good and bad games against them. The game in Carolina was during sort of the OB chase. Come back here, the Canadians, the Hurricanes blow a 2-goal lead. The Capitals blow a 2-goal lead, and it goes to a shootout. It's pretty even. I consider it a pretty even series. That the Capitals, if they get Logan Thompson back, if they get Alexi Protas back, and you get the sort of right bounces and luck and whatever going, and they get their game back together. If they need a series to get their game back together and survive the first round, I think it's a long one. I think it's a 6-7 game coin flip. Somebody gets a goal overtime or late in regulation. I think there's a right to be concerned about it, but really, to as cliche as it is, one series at a time. I wouldn't even worry about Carolina until the Capitals can get past the Canadiens and the Blue Jackets.
Yep. Pump our brakes a little bit, Jay.
Yeah, I suppose you're right, Whyno. Is the conversation in there surrounding Ovi kind of done now? Like, is not everybody asking Ovi about everything all the time?
Yeah, I think he's tired of that, and I think the team is ready to move on, and you could sort of sense that the first practice after. I mean, you had 895 school children there, and Ovechkin does the belly flop, and like it was sort of like that, and the pregame celebration the other night was like, let's put a capper on this. It's like when the team wins a championship and you have the ring ceremony or go to the White House or whatever. Like they need to put that behind them now. And Alex Ovechkin is still scoring goals. I think he has scored roughly 30% of their goals since February 1st or whatever it is. And it's good that he's scoring. The Capitals just need to, at this point, figure out how to get back to playing hockey and not worrying about who's scoring the goals, just that they are. Because I just looked up the stat. They're no longer the highest scoring team in the NHL because of this stretch. and they've allowed 3 or more goals in 11 games in a row. That's a troubling thing that you don't want to have happen. And I think it's something that if you're Spencer Carberry and the coaching staff is going to be an emphasis at the Islanders, at the Penguins, no matter who's playing or who's resting in those games, that they need to lock down defensively. And even if it means losing a 2-1 game, because these games don't matter, to get that sort of defensive game right in time for playing Montreal or Columbus next weekend.
Yeah, man, you got defense wins championships. All right, last thing for me, Whyno. B, I don't know if you have something. Talking with our friend Steve Whyno, covers the Caps for the AP. Give him a follow at S Whyno. I had to be down there yesterday at the arena to do the Wizards Altcast, which was a 1:00 tip. When I pulled in to the parking lot, there was I'll never forget this car. It was like a lime green, very, very bright green Dodge Charger with a huge, and I mean huge, Columbus Blue Jackets flag sticking out, like mounted to the car. Have you ever seen this person before? Is this the world's largest Blue Jackets fan? It seemed
he was here?
This was here. So the Caps played the Blue Jackets at 6:00 at Cap One. This was at like noon.
I have no idea. I've never seen that car before. But I guess if they play the Blue Jackets in the playoffs, we're gonna have to do some investigating on that.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, if they play the Blue Jackets in the playoffs, we will absolutely see this car again. If anybody else saw it, please let me know, because otherwise I sound pretty crazy right now.
We'll get to the bottom of some things if they play the Blue Jackets in the playoffs.
Dude, what do you think? Now, this is a guess, but Lord knows we're going to do some mock scheduling for the NFL. What does the Steve Whyno mock Caps playoff schedule look like?
We have been hearing rumors of a Monday, a week from tonight, Game 1 start of that series. We know that the Capitals are not going to be made to play Saturday because they play Thursday. You're not going to make the best team in the East turn around on that. And so there's a possibility that they start Sunday the 20th, but I leaning toward a Monday, April 21st start, which will make Game 2 Wednesday the 23rd at home as well, and Game 3 on night 2 of the draft, game on Friday the 25th at Montreal, and then at Sunday the 27th at Montreal for Game 4. That is my best guess at this moment in time.
And I don't know if you told me this or somebody told me this in Long Island, that generally the Canadian teams don't get prime time. Like generally that Saturday, Sunday, 3:00 ABC Turner national game usually doesn't go to Canadian teams in the first round.
That's true, because it just like sort of with how the NFL works is there's a sort of a collaboration between the league, ESPN, Turner, Sportsnet, and the French broadcaster TVA of sort of splitting the games up among those networks and who gets what and what's the best time on that. I'm a little surprised it wouldn't be a hockey night in Canada sort of Saturday night, but if it's Leafs and Senators and the Oilers and the Kings in the West and Winnipeg against whoever, there's plenty of other options for that, which would allow the Capitals and Canadians to do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and then I guess a Tuesday back here bit in the first round.
So Leafs Senators seems almost locked in, right?
It's close, right? It can lock in as soon as tomorrow, as long as the Leafs get a point and Panthers win tonight against the Rangers. I think you can lock that in. You can lock in Lightning Panthers. We've known about Carolina and Jersey for a while, and Capitals are just waiting to see Canadians or Blue Jackets.
That's wild. So it's going to be the battle. What is that? Battle of Ontario, Toronto versus Ottawa, and then
the Sunshine State showdown between Tampa and Florida again.
That's crazy. And then Raleigh versus Newark. That doesn't have quite the same.
That sounds like our friend Ben Raby used to call that the Golf Channel series. When they have to move some games to the Golf Channel, that's the Golf Channel series.
That's funny. All right, Whyno, thank you, buddy. We'll be watching, we'll be reading, we'll be paying attention, and probably see you for the playoffs.
Thanks, guys. Stop worrying so much, and talk to you soon.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna try to stop worrying so much.